Hello again, peeps. Now you know that autumn's here, don't you? When you get the crab apples are falling off the branches and littering well, not littering, but falling onto the ground. Now, crab apples, not the best thing to eat unless you're in a survival situation. So, like I said in the previous video, there's going to be a couple today. I want to catch up on a few videos that were done whilst I've been away. So, my mate Keith, Let's Tab 59, did a video about thieving in the British Army. And as he said, theft in the British Army, in any unit in the British Army, is a no-no. Big no-no. Mainly because you have to have trust in one another. Now I'm going back to, it was either 1978 or 1979. And it was my first unit, 66 Squadron RCT Workshops Remy in Jelly Baby Barracks or Jalalabad Barracks in Tidworth. So, one morning I walk into the workshop, and as I walk into the front door, just off to the right hand side, excuse me while I adjust this, was a workbench with two vices, one at either end. And when I walk in through the door, I'm confronted with one of the guys in my unit. He got his hand in each of the vices and was stretched out across the workbench. So I wondered what the hell was going on. And it was one of the corporals, I'm not going to name him, but you'll know if you've watched this who you are. I questioned him and said, I was a young craftsman at the time, young private. I asked him what was going on. And the corporal said to me, he's been caught rummaging through the guys' lockers. I went, right, okay. And like I say, in the British Army, it's extremely frowned upon. Theft amongst soldiers is a big, or used to be, a big no-no. I'm pretty sure it's still the same standards today. Because you've got to be able to trust the bloke that you're working alongside. You've got to trust the bloke that you're fighting alongside. So I never thought anything more of it. Went into the restroom, put my coveralls on, ready to start work, got my toolbox out, walked back into the workshop, and by this time, our AQMS, Artificer Quartermaster Sergeant, had walked into the building. And of course, he spotted this laddo stuck between two vices and asked the same corporal what had been going on. So the corporal told him, he'd been caught rummaging through the guys' lockers. So what did our AQMS do? Walked up and turned the handle on the vices. Yeah. He actually broke the lad's fingers, or a couple of his fingers in each hand. Now, luckily enough for us, in Jalalabad Barracks, the medical centre was literally next door. So after all the screaming had stopped, the lad was taken up to the med centre and he was treated. But when that lad came back, first of all, he'd been embarrassed. He'd been shown up for the thief that he was. Yeah, and this is why, while we've been away, I walked into a shop while we've been down in Cornwall, and on there they had a shame board. It was pictures of shoplifters. And I actually said to the young girl, "Why don't I doing that?" She says, "Yeah, but I've had people saying about it infringes on people's human rights and that." I said, "Yeah, but it infringes on your rights when they come in and steal your products, isn't it?" I said, so that's my answer to that one. But this lad, he'd been shamed, big style. And not only that, he'd had his fingers broken. From then on, you could ask him to go and get a spanner out of your toolbox, or go and ask him to get something out of your locker. and he would refuse to do it. Yeah. So lesson learned. Yeah? You want to try and steal off one of your friends, one of your fellow work colleagues, yeah, then you get what you deserve. That's in my eyes. Yeah, now, I know there's going to be people out there, oh, well, that's bullying. No, it's discipline. Yeah, and I'm a great believer. It's like with this thing about when a burglar bursts into your house and tries to take your kit. Yeah, in my eyes, if I'm in the building, that burglar gets what he deserves. Yeah, and if that means I kick 7 bells out of him, then that's what I do. Yeah, if I have to go to court and get a criminal record or whatever, I'm not particularly bothered. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that burglar might think twice about it. And I know they say you've got to use reasonable force. So what do you class as reasonable force? Me kicking 7 bells out of him? I reckon that's reasonable force. But it also tells him that the next time he tries to break into someone's house, there's a good chance he's going to get another kicking. But that's the thing with, like we say, about theft in the army. And Keith was on about things like buckshear kit. We've all had buckshear kit, you know. We managed to acquire bits of equipment. I mean, when I left in 2000, I took that much buckshear kit back to the stores to hand in. It was unbelievable. It's near enough for a whole quartermaster store. But it's stuff that I'd acquired. No, I hadn't stolen it. I just managed to acquire it. And all it was I might have been issued with something that I was supposed to have handed back. And I hadn't. I thought, oh, that would come in handy for my next tour. And things like that, you know, it's sort of accepted. One of the big things is those of us that were in the forces up until about 2000, you'll remember the batteries, the old green and red batteries, which were actually made by Duracell. So instead of being black and copper, like they sell in the shops, they were green and red. And you can guarantee when it came to things like Christmas time, yeah, suddenly a big order of batteries are going. They weren't being used for what they were supposed to be used for, I'll guarantee you. Yeah, it had been used so you could get batteries for your kids, battery operated toys and so on. But it was something that, yeah, it was theft in a sense, but it was perks of the job, wasn't it? During the first Gulf War, myself and my colleague were doing reconnaissance forward for the unit we were with, and we were doing everything by map and compass. And while we were at a refuel stop, I noticed a Land Rover from the Royal Artillery that had a thing called pads in it. It's a directional system, millions of pounds worth of kit. But on the driver's seat was a handheld Magellan sat-nav system. Now, there's a funny story about me and Brian when we were using map and compass, where we ended up going kilometres out of the way because Brian had laid a bearing down. I drove on it to something in the distance, and then when we finally got to it, this object, it was a herd of sheep. So we'd gone off route. So I just looked in, I thought, right, they've got the pad system in there, yeah, which will show them where they've got to go. Yeah, so I lifted this Magellan, and me and Brian used it right the way through the Gulf War. Now I'm pretty sure the guys that had this Magellan, yeah, once it had gone missing, they'd have probably got another one. It's just that we weren't in a position to actually order things like that. So I didn't actually steal off another guy because he already had something that he could use to working his way around the desert. And when we came to the end of the Gulf War, Brian was actually into sailing. And I said to him, you could use this for sailing, couldn't you? He says, yeah, it's all right, it's yours. There you go. And Brian kept hold of that and used it for his sailing. But it's like Keith was saying, you know, it was always the case of, it's a big company. But the big thing, as both me and Keith have said, is still in amongst each other. So, yes, in our day, you could leave money lying around on your bedside locker. Yeah. You could leave your kit lying around. But it would never go anywhere. Yeah. Someone might say to you, as Keith said, I didn't smoke, but I know a load of guys did. And someone might have, I've run out of fags. And rather than wait to go out to nothing or busting for a ciggy, they might have taken one out of one of the lads' cigarette packets. But I'll guarantee you, they'd have turned around and told them, right, sorry mate, I've nicked a fag off you, I'll get you one back. Or even, I'll get you a packet back. Yeah, and that was the way that we used to work. Like I say, I don't know how it works nowadays, but I'm pretty sure the same ethos is instilled in today's British forces as it was when me and Keith were in. Things such as Keith mentioned, starred items. Now, I had signed out a night sight. At the time, this night sight was something like 8 grand. And I admitted I'd signed it out and I couldn't find it. I turned my place upside down, my workshop, I turned it upside down. I knew I hadn't taken it home, but I still turned my house upside down, trying to find this night sight. And I ended up on CO's orders, Colonel's orders. And when I was stood there, I explained to the Colonel, yes sir, I have signed this night sight out. And I admitted to it, it was my signature on the docket, but I couldn't find it. Next thing was the knock on the door. It was one of my colleagues, Dusty Miller. Dusty, if you see this, mate, you'll remember it well. Well, Dusty had replaced it, he'd moved it and hidden it away. Because I'd left it out lying around in the electronics section. And he walked in with the case and the Colonel looked at it, Dusty, who was a sergeant, same as I was at the time. Can I open something? Miller? He said, yes sir. Sergeant Clark's on orders, reference this night sight. And then he explained to the Colonel what he'd done. Well, the Colonel immediately looked at me and said, Sergeant Clark, case admonished, march out. Sergeant Miller, stay exactly where you are. Dusty got given a 3-month warning order. Now, both of us had done around about 15 years by this time. Yeah, and a 3-month warning order in the British Army is quite severe. Basically, you do anything wrong, yeah, in the space of about 6 months, after a 3-month warning order, you're out the army, done, dusty, pension gone, the lot. So Dusty learnt a valuable lesson. I also learnt a valuable lesson. Something like a starred item, which is worth that amount of money, you don't leave lying around, even to the point of someone pulling a joke on you. So yes, the theft in the British Army. It's a big no-no, big no-no. Because like we say, you need to be able to trust one another. Right, so I'm going to leave that one there. As I say, it was just a follow-up on a video that Keith did and a little story from my time. So, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Not telling you what to do. We don't do that on this channel, do we? No, we don't. You've got your own minds. But if you do subscribe, do us a favour. Drop me a little comment when you subscribe and say, hey Nobby, I'm Joe Blogs from such and such. Yeah, and I'll just subscribe to your channel. Because I like to reply to my subscribers. When they make any comments, I try and reply to them. Yeah, because it's only common courtesy, isn't it? Something that's sadly missing in today's society, I'm afraid. But you will get a reply, guaranteed. So, to all of you out there, have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And as me and Keith always say, let's tab.